What's happening, Bairns? Welcome to In the KM, One South Standards point of view on all things navy blue. As always, I'm your host Ray, and today's video we will be here to break down and discuss our most recent game at the stadium. Again, lovely being there twice in a row, let me tell you, where we took on Livingston in the William Hill Championship, and that finished 0-0. We will also be looking ahead to the Partick Thistle game away on Saturday as well. So just like the last one, again this is going to be a more condensed video in terms of just combining the reaction and the preview videos. Again with the quick turnaround, might as well. It just saves everyone having to click on two videos as well. Gives me a wee bit less work as well. When it's back to just playing on Saturdays, usual service will resume. It'll just be back to reaction video Sunday, preview video Thursday. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So before kick-off, a few things I want to just go over as well. It was actually quite a tricky start to the day for the missus and I. As you know, I live in Ayrshire, so I've got to travel through to Falkirk, and the trains were absolute fucking chaos on Tuesday. The Glasgow to Edinburgh line was just nonsense. Like trains just getting cancelled, non fucking stop, both directions. In the lead up to getting through there and on the way back as well. We nearly missed kick-off as well. Got there just before it actually. Struggled to get a seat in the KM as well actually. But we managed to get there, luckily didn't miss anything. We actually as well, we bumped into an Arbroath supporter who was on the way to the game whilst we were waiting on one of the many trains that had been cancelled at Queen Street. And he was telling me that he was going to the game as a neutral. So don't know if you're watching there, Rob, but it was nice meeting you, mate. Hope you did enjoy the game. Again, it was the 0-0 draw in that, but there was still some pretty good stuff in there as well. But aye, we had at least one neutral going along to see what all the fuss was about. He said he'd never been to the Falkirk Stadium before. Big ass crowd there on Tuesday night as well, so hope he enjoyed it. So, a few other things as well was that we've seen before kick-off as well that Callum Morrison was finally back in a match day squad. Thank you, gods of football, that we've finally got Callum Morrison back playing football, which is the thing he loves doing and the thing we love watching him do. I'm so happy to see him back on the bench as well there. In terms of changes in the lineup, Mackie was the only one to miss out. Was really to be expected. McGlynn did say that he probably wouldn't have made this game, so it was no surprise to see Leon McCann take his place in the starting lineup, which was really the only actual change from the game against Ayr. It was as you were outside of that. So you had McCann on the left, you had Hendo and Graham in the middle, and then Adams on the right, Hogarth in goal, obviously, with Spencer and Tate in the middle, with Nisbet in front, and then you had the Ross on the left and then Miller on the right with Gary Oliver through the middle. We were all quite interested to see as well that Gary Oliver had a pretty good game. I think that's fair to say. They had a pretty good game against Ayr, so we're wondering if we could keep up that sort of form, because it's something that's still in the forefront of all of our minds, that we, no pun intended there, all of our minds. Again, please don't unsubscribe. But it's on the forefront of our minds that we're really missing Ross McKeever. I feel like I'm a broken record here every time I say this. And we're just desperate for whatever option we go with to stick. I really expected Shanley to be the one that was given a shot. I really did. He actually, we'll get into the game a little bit later on, but he actually looked no bad when he came on. There was this one instance where the ball's lumped forward, right, and he looks second best to this ball when it's in the air, and it looks like the defender's going to get it all day long, and Shanley just goes about 20 feet into the air. You know, like you watch like the NBA, and they don't even really like take runs and jumps, they just sort of go up into the air. That was Shanley. He went so high in the air and he won this ball that he had absolutely no right to win, and I was just like, go on your fucking cell, man. Like, he's basically been written off at this point, and I feel for the boy. And look, I've said things I know about Ryan Shanley, but I feel like we should just give him a chance again and just see what he can do, because again, we'll get into this in a bit more detail, but I don't really think it worked with Oliver the day. in that game rather. I think that he did struggle with the physicality a little bit, something that I don't think Shanley seemed all that phased about when he came on. Only other thing I want to mention, really, just before we actually get into things properly, is the pre-match light show as well. A lot of excitement and anticipation of that as well, with the club hyping that in the days leading up to it, and we've seen videos that people had recorded of it as well. I thought it was pretty cool. One thing that the boy I was standing next to as well, shout out Johnny if you're watching, you don't realise until the lights go off how dark it is around the stadium. Like, it is pitch black when those lights are off. It's a shame that we didn't score in that game, because I would have loved to have seen what the plan was with the lights when we did score. If it was maybe going to be something similar to what they do at like Celtic Park, for example, which I've always thought was pretty cool with the lights going off and on again. I know Bayern do it as well. I'm sure there's other big teams that do it too. So the only other thing was, I've seen a few comments, supporters of other clubs saying it's tin pot, it's embarrassing, and having a light show and things, and it's just like lights blinking on and off, and I just, come on, where's the joy in your lives, man? Like, stop taking everything so seriously. It's just a bit of fun. Like, if you can't go to a football match and enjoy yourself, what's the point in going? You want to sit there all miserable? Like, just it's fun. Like, just. Get what I mean? Do you get what I mean here? Anyway, moving on to the match itself, I thought that we started the game really quite well, to be honest. On the front foot, thought we set the tempo well. Livy were defending really resolutely, and that's not the last time I'm going to say this, that they were looking quite dangerous on the counter as well, though. So something that I was really worried about was that we would overcommit and we would get caught out, but it didn't happen. There was a few hairy moments, so don't get me wrong, where we were forced into some last ditch defending, and I'll speak about some of that in a little bit as well. I thought that particularly in the first half, because I think Livy faded out of it a little bit in the second half, sort of a late rally, but they in the first half they looked dangerous. I would say they definitely did, and McCann in particular, he had a really tough game against their number 7, the boy, what's his name, Sol. He struggled with his physicality. He was him like a rash. Again, we're always going to compare the players that play in the same positions, and it's hard not to feel that Mackie would have had a better measure that sort of situation, because Mackie does not shy away from any sort of physicality. As you all know, his tackles are either 11 out of 10 or 0 out of 10 and no in between. He has no issues with snapping people and picking up yellow cards, and I think that he would have crunched Sol and maybe got him to be a wee bit quieter. Who knows? We can only speculate. So, great defending when required by us in the centre whenever Livy would break. In particular, Spencer with an absolutely gorgeous bit of defending where he just anticipates the ball when it's coming loose in the box, just to sort of the right hand side of looking onto the pitch from the KM, just comes in and intercepts it. It was like an RKO out of nowhere. It was fantastic. I didn't even see him arriving there, and he just comes out of fucking nowhere and clears the danger. Brilliant. Hendo had a couple of really good interceptions as well. Graham, yet again, looks really good. I think he had a pretty good game overall, and I seen that he was given the sponsor man of the match as well, which I think is deserved. He did have one moment where he gave the ball away. It was a bit poor, it was a bit slack, but he's not the only one that was guilty of that on Tuesday night. Unfortunately, there was a few culprits that were a bit sloppy in possession, just not taking care of the ball enough. Luckily, he did get bailed out. I think it was Spencer that bailed him out, which Spencer is just... Again, I feel like I spend every single video praising Brad Spencer. I'm a bit of a Brad Spencer fanboy, as you can probably tell by now, that every time somebody cocks up or makes a mistake, Brad is always there to bail his teammates out. He must be an absolute delight to play with, because you know he's got your back. He's always going to cover for you. He's always there whenever somebody makes an arse of something. He reads the game really, really well. And sometimes I watch him play and I just think, how is he playing at this level? How is he not playing for a team in the Premiership? You're not telling me he's like a mile off of the standard required when he's no looking out of place next to folk like Pittman and Kelly, who have been in the Premiership for years. I'm not buying that. I'm not complaining either. Actually, let's just scratch that. Our players are shite. You don't want any of our players. You look for other players that play for other teams. We'll just keep all our shite players. Don't look at Keelan Adams either. He's the worst player on the team. Don't look at him. So, yeah, Graham, just a tangent aside, Graham has been very impressive so far. I want to just single that out. He's been really good. It says a lot that we're not missing Call. Of course, we're going to miss his leadership, but in terms of just what he actually brings on the pitch, in terms of his ability to defend and take the ball forward and put passes and tackles and that in, we're no missing him. It's mad to say that, it really is. But I had mentioned a little bit earlier about some of the slack passing. That was definitely a big fixture of the first half, and to a lesser extent the second half as well. Passing was just off. There was just so many occasions where we're just needlessly giving the ball away, and then Livingston were doing it as well at times. I think that, again, you can by now, I don't really like singling folk out, because I don't think it's very fair. It's a team game and that. But it has to be said that Dylan Tate in particular, I thought he looked off it. Please, if I'm being harsh here, please tell me in the comments below. That his passing in particular, there was good 3 or 4 occasions where he was losing the ball, and I'm not talking about when there's like 3 guys round him and it's like, what's he meant to do? There was times where he's losing the ball and you're like, oh come on, like the it's no even that difficult a pass, and he's messing it up. Seems to be what you get with Dylan Tate though. It's almost guaranteed that if he has a bit of a poor match, his next match is going to be on fire. And I think that's going to be the key for Dylan Tate taking his game to the next level, is can he unlock that consistency? Because we've been saying that since he's arrived, that there's no denying this guy's a baller. He is a fantastic football player, but he just lacks a wee bit of consistency at times. Again, I don't know if I'm being harsh. I don't know if you agree with me on that. I think that in general, if you just look at it across the piece, that the whole team did absolutely pan it in, empty the tanks big time on Saturday. So it's to be expected that we would go into this match maybe a wee bit jaded, maybe a wee bit tired, and that it's understandable to a point. As I mentioned as well, Gary Oliver playing up top. Fortunately, he didn't get any change out of the McGowan or Nottingham at all. There was times where he would try and thread things together, because that's what Oliver's really good at, getting the ball and playing quick short passes to the players around him, including like Nisbet and both our boys on the wings, Ross and Miller. But because of the way that Livingston were playing, they were so compact. They were completely strangling the space in the middle and basically saying to Ross and Miller, on yous go down the wing all day long, hit crosses into the box and we'll clear them all day long as well. But as soon as we tried to play through the middle, there just wasn't any space. And I feel for Nisbet, I feel for Oliver as well, because they just couldn't make the sort of impact that they would have liked, because they can't operate with no space. It's so difficult. I feel for them. Something else I've got to say as well when it comes to Livingston, and look, this isn't going to be sour grapes or anything, so I will qualify this in a second with what I mean, but I thought that some of the tackling by Livingston in that game was really, really poor, particularly on Spencer, who picked up a few really hefty challenges, let me tell you. And the bizarre thing about it is, on at least a couple of occasions, these tackles weren't even punished with a booting. and they were absolutely bookable offences. I'm a biased party here, obviously I am, but there was another one as well where somebody's breaking down the left wing. I can't mind if it is Spencer or if it's Tate on this instance. It gets completely wiped out, and you're almost thinking that's borderline red. And if I recall, I don't even think it got a booting. I really don't. It's absolutely bizarre. And then the usual thing happens when you've got a ref that's no giving you fuck all. The first time one of our players makes a somewhat questionable challenge, straight out with the yellow. Spencer with alright, that's a wee bit cynical. He stopped my counter attack. It's probably a yellow, but that's no what frustrates me, troops. That's no what really pisses me off. That's not what grinds my gears, as Peter Griffin would say. What pisses me off is the lack of consistency with referees. But it's like, how is that a yellow, but wiping somebody out when we're on the counter isn't a yellow? Look, it's baffling. I just don't understand how referees come to these decisions, and that's why referees get abuse up and down every single park in the country. It's the fact that they're above reproach, and there's no dialogue, there's no understanding of why yous are coming to that decision, because I don't believe for 1 second that referees go out there to try and have bad games. I don't believe that for a second. But Ewan Anderson had a bad game, and don't get me started on the Lino, on the stadium side one. No, the other guy, I don't think he had a... I don't even remember anything the far side Lino done, so that means he probably had a decent game. But aye, bizarrely as well, McGowan and Nottingham, despite numerous hefty challenges, escape without yellows. It's unreal. It really is. I feel like both of them should have been on yellow cards easily. The game plan by Livy was clearly to frustrate us and try and provoke reactions, especially on Spencer, because when they realised they were getting away with it, they just kept on doing it. And then when Spencer gets his booking, it just seemed like all they wanted to do was try and provoke a reaction out of him and try and get him sent off. I thought that Brad handled that situation really well, and shows his true class and his ability as a leader in the dressing room, that he's able to take that in his stride and no react, because there's plenty of players that would have got pissed off at the treatment he was getting. And the thing as well is that, and this is why what I was saying earlier about, it's no coming off as sour grapes or that. Look, Livy had a game plan, and it's within the rules of the game that they're entitled to play whatever way they want if they think they can win the match, or let's be honest, in this instance, not lose the match, because that's what they set up today. It's down to the ref. It's down to the ref to stop these types of challenges and punish them. You've then got as well, God, I've not even spoken about this, so the time wasting, the injuries, and just the general shithousery as well. It's weak refereeing is the real issue. It's no Livingston, it's no folk taking 20-30 seconds to hit a free kick, or chucking a ball away to go get another ball that's way further away to waste more time. Like their goalkeeper done this shite the whole of the first and second half and didn't receive a booting either. And the amount of times as well players would sit down with supposed cramp, it was getting ridiculous at one point, and the referee wasn't even making any of these folk go off the pitch and stop and play and that as well. Look, can somebody that is a referee or understands the rules better than I do, because I'm just an idiot, I don't know anything, but I thought that if it wasn't a head knock, there was no obligation for us to stop the play. I mean, did Celtic stop the play when Ross McKeever went down at Celtic Park? Did they? Fuck. And whilst we booed the Celtic players for not kicking it out, it's within their right. They don't have to do that. And then the referee is fucking stopping the game for folk that are doing injured, and then the chance for us to counter attack stopped. Like, how is that benefiting anybody other than them? It's baffling. Like, I'm not wanting to get into a big rant about this, but it does wind me up a wee bit, how pish the refereeing is in this country. And bear in mind, Ewan Anderson's a Prem ref. Like, he's doing a lot of the best the biggest matches rather, and that's the standard. What fucking chance have you got, man? Like, it's again though, it's no Livingston I've got the issue with. It's viable tactics. There's not like within the rules of the game, you can time waste and you can do whatever you can to get an advantage. I don't have any issue with that. Even if I don't necessarily like these tactics, no issues with it at all. So the second half, I would say the second half anyway, just back to the game, it is more traffic in our way. I think we kind of stepped it up a wee bit. Livingston started to retreat a wee bit as well and just looked content with containing us. And just, I think at that point they had decided, let's just not lose this game. And because they didn't offer anything at all in the second half, other than a couple of hairy moments towards the end there where, God, you thought they were actually going to nick it, honestly. But they looked content with just frustrating us and escaping with a draw. That looked like the game plan. So we assert our dominance. Livy are happy to shut up shop. The dark arts that we've already mentioned, that's when it starts really going into overdrive. It almost gets comical eventually, honestly, with the time wasting. Montano in particular, got this right here for you, mate. That's just for you, just especially for you. How many times did that boy sit down? I thought he was doing like sit down protests. The amount of times he kept sitting down on the grun, it was fucking ridiculous. There's another occasion as well where I actually just had to laugh at just how ridiculous it was. Eventually, he goes off for treatment because he'd already sat down about 2 or 3 times by this point. He goes off to get treatment, and then as soon as the ball breaks loose, he instantly sprints straight back onto the pitch in an attempt to win the ball. And you're just like, how are players getting away with doing things like this when it's as blatant as that? He's not even got the sense to just come back on and put his head down when he knows what he's been doing. He knows that he's only doing this to break up the play, because he only ever sat down when we had just been on the attack and the crowd got back on our side, or we were breaking on the counter. It was never when Livy had done anything. Funny that. So he runs back on and tries to win the ball. Miraculous recovery. It's fantastic to see. It looked like he was maybe going to have to go to hospital there for a second, and then he makes a miraculous recovery. It's things you just love to see, innit? I'm glad he wasn't hurt. I'm sure he must have been in agony moments before that, though. It's, as I say, it's baffling how that shit's allowed. I don't know how we can't just start booking players when you know that they're just kidding on. Like, because we know they're kidding on. So, aye. Ewan Anderson, referee, very, very shite. But no as shite as the linesman on the main stand side, as I mentioned. And here we go. The moment that we're all waiting for. The goal, or sorry, the disallowed goal. So Adams hits a low cross. Keeper gets a touch to it. It's actually a pretty decent save by the keeper. It then scrambles about a wee bit, and then it falls perfectly for Ethan Ross. He's about just around the penalty spot, side foots it into the bottom corner. Yes, 1-0. Cue Bedlam in the KM. But then, as I'm hugging my missus, I turn round to see the referee blowing his whistle and pointing for a free kick, and I'm just like this. Like, what? Like, what's it been disallowed for exactly? So the referee initially gives the goal, and then on advice of the lino, that's for you as well, mate, the confusion ensues, because I was saying to the guy I was standing next to as well, he didn't put his flag up. It definitely wasn't offside. And I've seen various stills of this, and I'm still not convinced at all. Apparently the reason is that the ball was out of play when Adams hits the cross, but I don't buy that. Like, it happened literally right in front of where I was standing, and I try to be honest. Obviously, I'm going to be biased. I don't mean to be, but I try to be honest, and I didn't think the ball was out. That never even crossed my mind that the ball was out. Nobody around me that crossed their mind either, and that's what makes me think that the lino's got this wrong. Not to mention the fact that the lino's about 8 yards behind play when this happens, so how the fuck is he calling whether that ball is full out or no? He's guessed. he has made a guess at that point. And again, this is where we come back to consistency and just in general, just shite officiating. How can you guess whether a goal should be given or not? If you're not sure whether that decision is correct or not, then surely, like, do we not want to see goals in games? Like, I'm not just saying this because it's our team that would have scored, but I mean, surely we should be, and I'm talking about VAR as well. It's a bit of a tangent here, but it feels like a lot of the shit that we use technology-wise now is an excuse to justify not giving goals now. And it's baffling. I don't understand why you would want to have a situation where we're trying to not give goals. That linesman, no chance in a million years he knew for certain that that was out. He's guessed there. And I think that for what I've seen, it looks like he's gotten it wrong. I think we probably should have been a goal up at that point. And with the way Livy were playing and with how little they were offering in the second half, I'm not convinced that they would have scored and it would have ended up the same result anyway. I feel pretty confident that if we'd been given that goal correctly, that I think we would have ended up winning it. But it wasn't to be, and that's just, it is what it is. We didn't get the Robbie the Green this time. Hopefully next time we do. Hopefully we get a dodgy penalty or something like that, and then the old adage of, it all balances out in the end. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes a team that you've just drew one each way gets promoted a week later and you don't. Sometimes you don't get promoted because your stadium isn't a certain capacity and you're not allowed to ground share with another team, but then they allow other teams to do it a couple of years later. It is what it is. So moving on, I do think that Livy got lucky with that one. There was another one as well. There was a weak penalty shout for us, but it's brilliant defending. Again, I said that to the boy I was standing next to. It's an absolute crunching challenge. I can't remember exactly who it was. It might have been on Ethan Ross or maybe even Nisbet. I can't remember exactly, but he completely wipes out his man but wins all of the ball at the same time. If Sean Mackey had made a challenge like that, or Big Hendo, we would be absolutely creaming in our pants at it. It's fantastic defending. I don't want to sit here and praise the opposition and that, but you've got to give it due. They're due. Great bit of defending. Absolutely quality. So something else as well is that Morrison does come off the bench, along with Finn Yates and Agyeman as well. Yates, who is actually making his 100th appearance on Tuesday night, which was class. I didn't even realise he was on that many appearances, to be perfectly honest. But fantastic seeing Callum Morrison back in a matchday squad. We've missed him. We've missed his goals. You think about the amount of goals he scored last season, maybe 23, 24. Take that out of any team, and the goals are not going to flow as much. Even when he was coming out for his warm up, the ultras who clocked him instantly coming out, started singing his song, and you can imagine he must have just been buzzing knowing that he's got the full backing, the support. And when he comes on, he gets a standing ovation as well. The boy's loved, and I'm glad that he knows that he is. So in terms of what's left to talk about in the game, I thought Agyeman looked quite bright when he came on. I really just, and again, please do tell me if you think differently, but please, McGlynn, please, will you just play Agyeman up front, just even for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, a half? I'm not even asking for you to start with this, but could you just give it a go so I and other like-minded people can shut the fuck up about Alfie playing up top? I just want to see if it would work, because I've got a funny feeling it would. And I just don't understand why McGlynn won't even try it. He'll literally play everybody else up top. He'll play Nicky Hogarth up top before he'll play Alfie. And I just go on and do it. Come on, just give it a go. So, I mentioned earlier, Shanley came on eventually as well. He did actually have a pretty decent game, as did Alfie as well. Callum Morrison looks rough as toast. I'm not going to lie to you on that. But it's to be it's fully expected that he's going to be rough as toast. He's missed 6 weeks of football, and if he's been in and out of hospital all the time for half of that, I can't imagine how much training he was doing as well. He is going to need a wee bit of time to get up to speed. The issue that we've got is that we need folk that are going to score goals, and we need him to get back up to speed. I don't want to put any pressure on him though. However long it takes, we need to just be patient with him, and if it's a case of bringing him on with half an hour to go for a couple of games and then maybe trying him for the first 45 minutes and then seeing where we go for there, then fine. It is what it is. So, mentioned as well, some late pressure by Livingston. I feared the worst. I started to get this horrible sinking feeling in my stomach that they were going to nick it. I was quite happy when they didn't. So 0-0 it finishes. We go top of the league, which is somewhere I really hope we stay. Still got one more game in hand, remember, as well. And something else to point out as well, that Livingston are now the only unbeaten team in the league, which is incredible when you think about it. I have to say though, for all the talk about Livy being the favourites to go up and the best team in the league and being unbeaten, I don't think they were anything special. I don't think they were fantastic or anything like that. Their game plan just looks like they want to strangle the life out of teams, and I really hope that's not successful. That's not the kind of football that should be rewarded with success. I'm not saying that we play the right football and they play the wrong football, because there's only one type of football, one that gets results. And I just think though that a team that plays attacking football and always wants to entertain and get on the ball and make things happen, that's the kind of football everybody wants to watch. You're not telling me Livy fans are sitting there and actually want to watch that kind of turgid shite. I don't think so in a million years. So speaking of which as well, shout out to the Livingston supporters. Although they get a lot of stick for how small their support is, around 400 of them turned out for a game on a Tuesday night. Alright, granted, it's no exactly a long distance journey for them. It's 25 minutes or something like that down the road, but it's still commendable. It's still more money in our coffers as well, and I'm never going to slag supporters for turning out to see their team play at the Falkirk Stadium. It's always appreciated. 5,715 in total in attendance, so that's 5,300 bairns. Give yourselves a round of applause, by the way. That's some effort for a Tuesday night. Even I mentioned myself, when all the trains were getting cancelled, I ran the risk of getting stuck, and alright, getting stuck in my hometown, it's not exactly the worst thing in the world, but it's still nowhere I stay, and I had work in the morning. There was no doubt in my mind I was still going to that game, and I was glad to see that so many other people felt the exact same way as well. So, final thoughts on the match. Frustrated? Aye, a wee bit. I think that we could have won that game, but as McGlynn said in his post-match interview, and kind of similar actually to the first game against Hamilton Accies at the stadium last season, it felt kind of like a game of chess, like it was two teams of a similar level kind of feeling each other out, and that's really how it played out. I think that we will take points off at Livingston in the other games this season. I'm not going to say we're going to beat them 3 times like we did with Hamilton Accies, who, if we beat them one more time, we get to keep them, I think. But with Livingston, I think that we will be able to beat them. This was just one where it was maybe a wee bit cagey at times. The bigger picture as well, we're top of the league. That's the most important thing. It's no, I wish we'd won this game, because we're not going to win every single game, and we're not going to win every single game at home either, and neither's any other team for that matter. This is the madness and the mania of being in the Championship. Teams win 3-0 one week and lose 5-0 the next. As long as at worst we are drawing the odd game and narrowly losing the odd game, I think we'll be alright. And I'm not saying sitting here right now that we are absolutely going to win the league. I'm saying that we are capable of winning the league, but it's going to come down to how consistent we can be. If we can turn losses into draws, and that's what I even said when there was maybe about 10 minutes left of the game on Tuesday. I said, if we can't win this game, don't lose it, and that's got to be the mindset, because picking up draws when we're going to lose games is going to be absolutely vital. It could be the difference. So we're 8 games in now, and we're top of the league by a point. Before a ball had been kicked this season, we would have bitten the proverbial hand off you to get a start like that. Absolutely fantastic start. Couldn't have even imagined it would have went this well. I'm absolutely buzzing to be top of the league, and I just hope that we can keep it there. It's a long season though. We've still got 28 more games to go. Hopefully we don't have any more games than that, because that means we're in the playoffs. But hopefully, well, because I want to win it, not because I don't want to be in the playoffs. But as I've said as well, Livingston probably the best team that we've played at the stadium so far this season. I still don't think they're anything special though. I don't. I think as well though, something that we've got to be mindful of is the fact that we're only going to get stronger from here, because we've got players coming back. As I mentioned, we've got Morrison getting back to fitness. Nesbitt's still working his way back as well, although he's playing. We've got Cole and Tom Lang, and we've got Mackie to come back, and then of course Ross McKeever as well. We're only going to get stronger from here, and look at how good a start we've had with the amount of injuries that we've been coping with. I think we'll be alright. So that's all I've got to say about the game against Livingston, and I want to just move on now to look ahead to Saturday, where we go to Firhill to play Partick Thistle. So, having a look at their form, how they've been shaping up of late, they have just one win in the last 5, which was against Dunfermline. You know, beating Dunfermline, big deal. That's what everybody does these days. Can I actually just go on a wee tangent here and just say as well how amazing the karma is actually that we're top of the league, and the 2 teams that pipped us in that the season before in League One are the bottom 2 teams. Can we actually just take a step back and just appreciate how fucking funny that is? It's never going to be funny. It's just, anyway, tangents aside, the Partick Thistle have won once in the last 5 games. Couple of dodgy results in the cup as well, has to be said. In the League Cup, they lost 3-2 at home to Clyde, to recently managerless Clyde, as Ian McCall just recently got the bullet. But they also lost 3-1 at home to Alloa in the Challenge Cup. The same weekend we got put out by Steny. That's a much worse result for them though. They've also drawn at Ayr, and they lost to Accies, and they also got a 0-0 draw at home to Livy in their most recent game as well. So something that jumps out straight away is that they've not lost any of their 4 league games at home. In fact, they've not actually conceded a goal at home in the league, which is bizarre when you think about the fact that they conceded 3 goals to Clyde and to Alloa, and they played full strength teams in both of these matches. Let me tell you, it's not a case of they just chucked kids out and that result's a bit misleading. They played full strength teams in both of these games and lost 3 goals in each one, yet at a much higher level they've no actually conceded a goal at home, which is mad. It really is. So they've no conceded a goal. They've scored 4 goals in the 4 games as well. Looking at the head-to-heads, this is the part I always enjoy doing. As you know, most recent results against them, we've already beaten them at the stadium 2-1 at the end of August, thanks to Hendo and Spencer. Last time we played them at Firhill was in the League Cup group stages at the very start of last season, where it all began, where that amazing run started. Well, it didn't start there, but you know what I mean. We took the lead through McKeever, Graham equalised, and then Spencer got a couple of yellow cards within like 2 minutes and got sent off. Argument puts us 2-1 up, only for Lyon to equalise right at the death. We did end up winning that game on penalties, which is funny considering the amount of PTSD that penalty shootouts cause the average Jags fan. Really, really funny. Bear in mind, they'd just come off that horrendous playoff bottle job against Ross County. Amazing. So we actually missed out on qualification from the group stages due to that 93rd minute goal, because you don't get all the points when you win on a penalties. So in terms of the last time we went to Firhill on league duty was the 29th of April 2021. We were still in League 1 at that point. Do you want me to just stop there? Do you want me to continue and talk about this particular game? I know you didn't. I know you didn't want to talk about this. So for those that don't know, the last time we played Partick Thistle at Firhill on league duty, we got pumped 5-0. Including being 3-0 down at half time. This particular season was pretty brutal. We were like 8 points clear after 5 games or something like that, and ended up finishing 5th that season. So, let's move the fuck on for that. I don't want to talk about that, but it's always good to get, I suppose, a bit of perspective on just how far we have come in the space of, 3.5 years. It's absolutely incredible. It really, really is. Fair play to every single one of you that stood by the team during what had to be some really, really dark times. All credit to you. So, in terms of predictions for this match, the tough games, they just keep on coming, don't they? Thistle are not in great form, but the fact that they're no conceding at home does concern me a wee bit, because we can sometimes struggle to take our chances. It's a bit of a Achilles heel, isn't it? Where we don't take the chances when they fall to us. I mean, I never even mentioned that in the Livy game we had a couple of big chances that we wasted. That Nesbitt managed to chip the ball right at the keeper. I've never even mentioned that. That's the type of thing that we can be a bit guilty of at times. And whilst I do still think we can win, we will need to be at it. We will need to be clinical, because the thing that needs to be said is that Thistle desperately need points on the board, and Doolan is under a lot of pressure. I think that, if he's speaking with other Jags supporters as well, that he might be on the verge, because bear in mind that they were all expecting to be right up at the top of the table challenging, and it's just no worked out that way so far. I mean, looking at their form, it's not actually been that bad, but when you compare it to the start that we've had, and the start Ayers had, and the start Livy's had, they would look at that, and fair enough, they will look at that and say, we should be doing better than what we are. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Doolan adopt a more defensive approach, because he'll be thinking about his job first and foremost, and he'll be trying to do everything he can to get points on the board. And any manager worth his salt must surely look at teams that play defensively against us and see that we do struggle a little bit against teams that are compact and teams that are resolute and disciplined in their defending. We've seen it with Livy, we've seen it with Wraith Rovers as well when we were away at Starks Park, and in fact even Partick Thistle themselves, they made it really, really difficult for us after they went down to 10 men. But the thing is, though, we are used to playing against teams that play like this. We went through all of League 1 where, how many teams actually came out and wanted to attack? There's so many teams that would play in a defensive way. We've got to come up with something to overcome that. So I think that you could see a Thistle side be a bit more on the defensive, as they'll be looking to not lose this game, because, like I said, it could be the end for Doolan if that's the case. In terms of what I think is going to happen, I think it will be really, really tight. I don't think there'll be much in it. There might not be a lot of chances either. I'm going to go with 1-0 to Falkirk, because I'm always going to back my own team. And I'm going to go with the fairy tale return of Callum Morrison to be the one that scores the winner. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're at it, if you could also please like, share and subscribe as well. That'd be really greatly appreciated. Well, that is it for today's video. So if any's are going to the game on Saturday, I will be joining you as well. And if you see me, don't hesitate to say hello. I'm always happy for talking about the football. Absolutely love it. I live for this shit. So please do say hello if you see me, and I'll catch you in the next one. And come on, you Bairns.